Hello and welcome to Band in a Box 2016 for Mac. In this video, we're going to show you some of the great new features available in Band in a Box 2016, and along the way we're also going to show off some of our exciting new RealTracks. This year we've gone all out and are including 201 new RealTracks, double what we've typically released in the past, including this exciting new big band jazz horn section style. We've released horn section RealTracks in the past, but never one as intricate as this one, which we're calling the Crooner Jazz Swing Horn Section. Listening to this, you can just picture yourself sipping a cocktail in Vegas, listening to a great old jazz crooner with a killer horn section. Everything you're hearing right now, including both the crooner horns and the rhythm section of acoustic bass, acoustic guitar, and drums, was created simply by typing in these chords, picking this crooner style, setting the tempo, and pressing play. Band in a Box then did everything, and you can enter any chord progression in any key. I'll highlight this by making a couple of changes to this chord chart. I'll change the first few bars to a minor progression. Right now you can see a feature that has been long requested, the ability to see the chord you're typing in the bar you're typing it as you're typing it. And I'll change the key of the whole song. And now you can see that it's playing our new progression in a completely different key, and it still sounds fabulous. In this video, we're going to have a look at some of the many exciting new features in Band in a Box 2016. And along the way, we'll check out some of the wonderful new RealTracks and other new content for Band in a Box. Here's a style featuring RealTracks soloing by John Herington. John has been the guitarist of choice with Steely Dan for both recording and touring since 1999, and has also had an impressive solo career. And now you can have his distinctive JazzRock soloing in your own song, playing over any chord progression in any key. And that's exactly what you're hearing here. We just typed in these chords, set the tempo, and pick the style, and everything you're hearing, including this great solo, was then created by Band in a Box. One thing you'll notice right away is this new great looking chord chart, which, with new options for displaying bar lines and better looking repeat signs, now looks more like a proper chord chart rather than a spreadsheet. Not only does the chord chart have a great new look, there is also amazing new functionality added, with Fakesheet features such as first and second endings, DSL Coda, etc. We'll look at these in more detail later in the video. There are also layers for displaying many different things alongside the chords, such as Nashville number notation, which you can see I've just added here, as well as things like lyrics and section text. There is also a completely redesigned Stylepicker, which makes it much easier to find the perfect style for your song, either with the intuitive filters or by simply typing the name of a popular song to find styles with similar grooves, genres, and tempos. Other new features include the ability to save and load music XML files, a very useful feature with many uses, including getting Band in a Box songs to and from notation programs, such as Finale, Sibelius, and Guitar Pro, as easily as possible while still retaining the chords from the Band in a Box song. And we've added guitar capo support, and many other great new features. We'll have a much more detailed look at all of these great new features and more later in the video, but for now, let's check out some more exciting new RealTracks. We have many new country styles, including a set of modern pedal steel, such as this country pop rock pedal steel. The world of country music today is very different than the country music of the past. We have lots of great old school classic country, but we've also been adding more modern country styles that reflect what's going on today. And this is one of those new pedal steel styles, modern ballad atmosphere, along with chill-out drum loop and effects, with pop bass and synth, which has a great modern sound but is still rooted in the country world. And of course we have great new classic country styles, including a set of bent note country piano styles. This style of piano is known as bent note because it makes frequent use of grace notes into the third of the chord, doing the best possible emulation on a piano of bending notes on a guitar. It was made popular by pianists like the great Floyd Cramer. We have a set of RealTracks by pop guitar master Zane Carney. Zane has been touring and recording with superstar John Mayer and has also begun a very successful solo career. Zane is a longtime fan of Band in a Box. You can check out his testimonial video on our webpage where he talks about the important role Band in a Box played in his own musical education.
Hi, my name is Zane Carney, and I play guitar with John Mayer right now and also do my own solo music. And I'm here today with Band in a Box recording a RealTrack session. So looking forward to playing along with you inside of your computer, apparently.
And you can have Zane's RealTracks playing your song just by typing in the chords and picking one of the many Zane Carney Real styles. We also have a new set of RealTracks by fingerpicking wizard Joe Robinson, winner of 2008's Australia's Got Talent. There's a set of old-time folk with cool crossover styles. This one also uses one of our new brushes-only reel drums. We have two sets of these very useful reel drums, one more pop-oriented and one more country-oriented. And they include brushes-only styles if you want a really stripped-down sound. And they also have other very useful percussion like tambourines and shakers. We have new surf rock styles. We've added some exciting new world styles with our Oberkrainer set. Oberkrainer is a style of music developed in the Alps and is very popular in Slovenia, Germany, Austria, Northern Italy, Switzerland, and Croatia. Its very distinctive sound features baritone horn, accordion, guitar, and in many cases a two-part horn section of trumpet and clarinet. We were lucky enough to record musicians from the Austrian band Die Lungauer for these wonderful RealTracks. There are some fantastic new funk styles, including these great swing 16ths funk styles with electric piano and wah-wah guitar. And on the harder side, we have some exciting new punk styles. There's also a new feature in song settings that lets you choose to avoid audio transposition when RealTracks are generated. This means that for some styles, especially distorted guitar styles like this, it will simply make everything sound better. And in the song settings is another interesting new feature, an option to ignore the slash root of slash chords except the bass track. To show you what this does, I'll throw in a bunch of slash chords, starting at bar 9. I'll use slash chords to create an ascending bass line, starting with F over A, G over B, F over C, G over D, C over E, and then I'll leave the rest. So you can see if we're just looking at the bass lines, it goes A, B, C, D, E, and then continues on with F and G. So let's listen to that. And I'll play that section again with only the guitars. And you can hear that the guitarists are actually playing slash chords, which you certainly may want, but you now have the option to have all the instruments except bass ignore the root of these slash chords. And let's listen now. So it basically just gives you more choices for how you want the musicians to approach the chord chart. And we have some cool new electronic music styles with our retro synths and modern R&B RealTracks set. And right now we're listening to an electronic melodic pop style from that set. Now we're going to have a look at some of the new features in more detail. With Band-in-a-Box 2016, the Stylepicker has been completely redesigned with a much more intuitive layout and great filters for finding the perfect style for your song, either by filtering with elements such as feel or time signature, or by simply typing in the name of a popular song, from which Band-in-a-Box will find multiple matches of styles in a similar vein. I'll demonstrate this by starting to type in Amazing Grace. I'll do it slowly so you can see the more letters I type, the more the list is narrowed down. I'm then able to click on Amazing Grace, which we see is a folk song, 3/4 time signature, even eighths, and our list is now filtered to show styles that match these elements, with the best matches at the top of the list. And now I can click on any of these styles to hear a sample of what the style will sound like. So, of course, it's not actually playing Amazing Grace in these samples, but it's playing styles that have a very similar feel, which you could then pick to create your own song. Or you could simply type in the chords to Amazing Grace if you actually wanted to play that song. Now, you'll notice that I have Include Similar enabled here. Now, it's showing Amazing Grace as even eighths at approximately 85 beats per minute. So our list has even eighth styles at the top, with the very top having tempos that are close to 85. But Amazing Grace is the kind of song that really can be done at many different tempos, and certainly can be done with swing eighths too. So it's showing me other styles that don't match that, but can likely still be very good for that song, or for creating a new song in a very similar vein. But if you wanted to really narrow the list to match the exact criteria for the song you selected, you can just uncheck that. Now you can see what it's done. When we typed in Amazing Grace, it automatically entered filters in this area, known as the quick filter. Any of these items that display in green indicate there are filters in place. So you can see it's filtering by folk, 3/4 time signature, even eighths, 85 beats per minute. Now that those are all set there, I could, if I wanted to, tweak these filters to find exactly what I want. For example, if I don't care if it's even eighths or swing eighths, I can simply remove that filter and try out some of the styles that have now shown up. This column shows whether styles are RealTracks and MIDI mixed, or all MIDI. If I didn't want any MIDI at all, I could filter that out here. Here's another song example. I'll type "Back Home Again in Indiana," an up-tempo swing eighths jazz tune. And there are lots of great style examples. But say I really want to hear some trumpet with this. I can combine this with the text filter and just type in trumpet, which takes the existing list and narrows it down further. And now I have a style available that will load a jazz trio of acoustic bass, piano, drums, and a great trumpet solo, able to play over any chord progression I enter in any key. And the text filters and the quick filter can of course be used just on their own as well, without using the song title feature at all. I'll press clear to remove all filters. And say I want to check out some world styles. Easy to do with the quick filter. And say now I want to narrow the list to show 16th based styles. Irish Celtic music falls under the world category, so I can see there are Celtic reels here. And here's an old world polka style. The simplest way to find a style in the Stylepicker is the text filter. For example, if I wanted a punk style, I could simply type punk here. And the list is now filtered to show these styles. And I could start sampling until I found the one I wanted to use. Or if I just wanted to try out some different styles with fiddle, I could just type fiddle. Or if there was a RealTracks musician we wanted to check out, we could just type in that musician's name. We've recorded many styles with Nashville legend Brent Mason, so we could just type in his name. And the list is now sorted to show styles with Brent Mason in them. And we can start sampling to find one we want for our song. You can set the font size to however you like it. And each column is also sortable. So I could sort by feel, and all even styles are sorted together. Or we could sort by tempo, or by date, or set number to see the most recent Brent Mason styles we've recorded. As you've seen, sampling the styles is incredibly easy, as it's just a matter of double-clicking on the style to hear the sample, which plays it in this quick play area. Another way to sample the style is to actually hear it played over the chord progression of your current song. For example, we can see I have a chord progression in the key of E flat actually loaded in right now. I would use this area to actually sample any of these styles playing my chord progression. The one small drawback to this is that it actually has to generate the parts, which takes a short but noticeable amount of time. Well, you can speed that up considerably by choosing to only generate the first 4 bars. And you can see when I press play, it very quickly generates the parts and plays my song with the selected style. And I can try a completely different style too. one changes the tempo to the ideal tempo, but I can control that too, so I can sample how fast I'll want it to play. And of course, the Memo here gives you all kinds of information about the style, listing all of the instruments, a brief description, and song examples. There are also additional tools. Rebuild Styles List allows you to add your own user styles. Copy List gives you a text file with the information from your current list, and there are additional options here. With Band in a Box 2016 for Mac, the Chord Chart has been completely redesigned with lots of great new features, including layers, customizable look and layout, and the most requested new feature, Fakesheet Mode, with repeats, first and second endings, etc. We're going to have a look at that first. Fakesheet Mode lets you switch between viewing your song with repeats, first and second endings, DS or DC Coda, and viewing the entire chord chart laid out with a single click. So we're going to look at how you can set up songs with repeats, endings, etc., and then how you can view them with Fakesheet Mode either on or off. Where these kinds of repeats are put into Band in a Box, those repeated bars are actually part of the Band in a Box song form, but Fakesheet Mode just hides those bars to account for the repeats, making the chart easier to read. There are two approaches to using these features. The first is to take an existing song that already has sections with the same chords and could therefore benefit from having repeats or endings. And the second approach is to incorporate repeats or endings while you're entering a song from scratch. We'll start with the first approach, taking an existing song. We'll start off very simply. I'm loading a song from the Tutorial Repeats and Endings folder. Repeat Tutorial Example 3 needs 5-time repeats at bars 5 and 6. Now you can see from bar 5 to 14, it's just D minor and G7 alternating every other bar. So to simplify this chart, those two bars could just have repeat signs, indicating those two bars should repeat 5 times. I'll highlight those two bars. We can access the repeats, endings, etc. feature either with this button or by control-clicking on any bar. I just want simple repeats. Now, because I highlighted those two bars, those values are already entered here. Repeat begins at bar 5 and lasts 2 bars. But the number of repeats I'll change to 5. Now, those repeated bars already exist, so I don't want to generate new material. So you can see the chart is now shortened significantly, making it easier to read. Now I'd like to point out a couple of things. First, it goes from bar 6 to bar 15. That's because those bars actually do still exist in the Band in a Box song. They're just hidden because we're in Fakesheet Mode. If I go out of Fakesheet Mode, those bars reappear, but grayed out to indicate they're hidden in Fakesheet Mode. And when you view the playback, the actual bar is highlighted and the bar within the repeat is also highlighted. One great thing about the bars all existing in the Band in a Box song rather than really just repeating exactly is that the different bars will play slightly different material, which you can definitely hear during playback here, especially the electric piano part. The other thing that I'll point out is that these Fakesheet repeats exist within the confines of the main Band in a Box repeats. If you have multiple choruses, as this song does, those repeats occur within each chorus, but the main song repeats starting at bar 1 and ending at bar 20, playing 3 times, also still exist. If you want to really map out a complex song in its entirety using these repeats, endings, etc., it might be best to switch that to one chorus and then just use the Fakesheet features to map out your song. That tutorials folder we looked at before is a great place to check out before and after song examples that utilize the Fakesheet features. I'll show you another example of adding repeats to an existing song, this time a little more complex, utilizing first and second endings. The song we have loaded is a good example of how a first and second ending will work. As you can see, the first 8 bars are almost identical to bars 9 through 16, with the only difference being the last 2 bars of each. This means we could have a repeat with bars 7 and 8 being the first ending, and bars 15 and 16 being the second ending. I had highlighted bars 7 and 8 before entering this dialog, which let the program know I was intending those as the first ending. So all of the correct bars have already been automatically entered for me here. The repeat begins at bar 1, the first ending starts at bar 7 and lasts for 2 bars. I'm working with an existing song that I don't want to actually change, so I don't want to generate new bars. I'll use that later when I demonstrate entering a song from scratch. You can have up to third or fourth endings, but we'll keep this to a simple first and second. When I press enter, we now have the first and second endings on our chord chart. We are in Fakesheet mode, which means our chart has been shrunk down and simplified because of the repeats. If I play from bar 5, it plays the first ending, then returns to bar 1, but then skips to the second ending. If we want to see the entire chart laid out, we can turn Fakesheet mode off, and the grayed out part is the part that's hidden when you're in Fakesheet mode, so you have the entire overview, but still see how it's arranged in Fakesheet mode. And when you play, and it gets to the repeat, and goes back to bar 1, and it's mirroring those bars in this grayed out section. And you can also view Fakesheet mode in the lead sheet. And here you see first and second endings, and in printouts or generated PDFs. I'll now show you how to use endings and Fakesheet mode while you're entering a song from scratch. I'll start by typing in some chords for a simple country song. C, F, G, C, A minor, F, G. I'd like to repeat the first 8 bars, but I'd like to have different bars for the last 2 bars. So I'll go into the repeats dialog again and do exactly the same thing. But this time I will generate new bars, since those don't exist yet. And if I take it out of Fakesheet mode, we can see the bars that were created. And now I can continue my song with different chords here. And now back in Fakesheet mode to see the shortened, simplified chart. There's also a feature that can do this automatically. Here's a blues style that has 2 12-bar blues progressions, but changes the second time to go into an 8-bar minor bridge. We could do this the same as the manual one we did before, with the first ending here, the second ending here. But let's just click this Auto Detect option. And it's now done that for us automatically. Now I'm going to show you a slightly more complicated roadmap. And in this instance, I did make the main band-in-a-box repeats just play through once, as I do want to make the entire roadmap to be determined with repeats, endings, etc. So with this song, I already have a first and second ending for it. But at the end of the main 32-bar form here, instead of going back to the beginning, I'd like it to just go to the bridge and play to the end again, but then after bar 30, I want it to jump to a coda. In the repeats, there are other options besides simple repeats and first-second endings. Da capo, or DC, means go to the beginning. Al coda means until coda, where a coda symbol appears, which indicates you should jump to the end where that symbol appears again. Al fine means until end, where you keep going until you actually see the text fine, which means the end of the song. So those two mean go to the beginning and then go either until the coda sign or until the fine sign. Del segno, or DS, means go to the segno sign and then again either continue on to the coda sign if it's DS al coda, or continue on until you see the text fine if it's DS al fine, which means end. So you'd pick the one appropriate for your use, and in my case it makes the most sense to use DS al coda, because I want it to go to a certain place within the song, where the segno sign will be, and then go to the coda sign. So I'd like to have the DS al coda start at bar 32. I want the segno sign to appear at bar 17, which is the beginning of the bridge, and I want it to go to the coda after bar 30. Now I don't have these bars actually in there yet, so I do want to generate new bars. So you can see if it's not in Fakesheet mode, these bars from 33 to 46 are the actual bars that we've inserted to account for the repeat. And if I go back into Fakesheet mode, we see at bar 32 it has DS al coda, which means it goes back to bar 17, where the segno sign is, plays through until the end of bar 30, where there is a coda sign, which means skip to 47, where the coda sign is, after which it would play the coda and end the song. So I'll play from 15 so we can see how this roadmap is followed. This is the first time through the bridge. Here at 32, we go back to the segno sign. And it plays to 30 and jumps to the coda. With Band in a Box 2016, the main chord chart has been completely redesigned and layers have been added. This exciting new feature lets you view additional information on the chord chart, and you have complete control over which elements you see. Right now I'm playing the old Stephen Foster Chestnut Old Folks at Home, or Swanee River. And I've got all of the layers turned on so you can see just what these layers entail. So we're currently looking at the chord chart with all the layers enabled, so I'll describe them one by one. First of all, we can see lyrics above the chords, which is very exciting. Not only that, but these lyrics are editable right on the chord chart. You can even paste lyrics from an entire song into the lyrics layer here. We'll explore entering and editing lyrics a little later. We also have a secondary chord display showing Nashville numbers. So in addition to seeing the actual chords, A flat, A flat 7, D flat, we can see the chord numbers at the same time. This can be changed to Roman numerals, or even solfeggio for people who like that do, re, mi. I also have section text displaying, and I've written in where the short guitar solo comes in. And I also have it showing bar settings. The only bar settings I've made in this song is a slight tempo increase of 2% at bar 25. And so the layer only shows up where necessary on this line to display that tempo change. And you have complete control over these layers. If you want to get rid of everything except the lyrics, no problem. So we'll now have a look at some different ways you can enter lyrics into these layers. I used the Stylepicker song title feature to find a beautiful style of a guitar duo that would work well with Amazing Grace. And I added a bowed acoustic bass, and I actually entered the chords to Amazing Grace in, with a few interesting chord substitutions. And so now I'd like to add some lyrics. So first I'll turn on the lyrics layer. There are currently no lyrics in this song, so the lyrics layer doesn't appear on most lines, but it does appear on the line where the cursor is, which enables us to actually enter some lyrics there. And if I click on other lines, the lyrics line appears on whatever row I've selected. So there are three approaches to entering lyrics into these layers. The first is to just start typing. The second is to copy and paste the lyrics for the whole song and then go about the task of making them all line up correctly at the proper bars. And the third is to paste the lyrics into a text file, make them all line up there, and then paste that into the layers here. So method one is to just start typing. So you can double click on the lyrics line on any bar to start typing. Amazing Grace has a pickup, so I'll enter my first lyric in the last intro bar by double clicking there. You can see the color has changed, which indicates I can start typing there. To go to the next bar, I can simply hit Tab or Enter. Tab moves this editing bar forward, Shift Tab moves it back. And I can just start entering the lyrics. Now here at bar 13, I'm going to deliberately make a mistake so I can show you how easy it is to fix small errors. Bar 13 should just be once was, and then bar 14 should be lost. But instead I'll type once was lost, all in bar 13, and but now was found, all in bar 14. So if I realized after doing that these lyrics were supposed to be spaced out over more bars, I can just Shift Tab to get back to 13, and I'll use the left and right arrow keys to move the cursor to the beginning of lost, and I'll press Enter. That moves that lyric one bar to the right, and pushes the others over as well. And by simply using the arrow keys and Enter, I can easily shift these words around until they're correct. And now that it's playing, I realize I wrote once was lost, but now was found, which should be now am found. These editable layers were designed so that you could make edits during playback, so I don't even have to stop the song. I can fix that mistake right now. The next way that you can approach entering lyrics is to just find lyrics online and copy them and paste them directly into the lyric layer. If the lyrics you copied and pasted were arranged so that each new line represented a new bar, then you'd have to do little to no fixing up. But if it's not, there's a small amount of fixing you'll need to do. So I've copied the lyrics to Amazing Grace off the internet, and I have them in this little text file. So I just copy that, go to the first bar of lyrics in the song, and paste. And you can see it's now got all the lyrics here, but they're not quite lined up correctly. As we saw before, we can now use a combination of Tab or Shift Tab to go forward and back through the bars, and the left and right arrows to move the cursor within the bar, and Enter or Delete to push chunks of lyrics to the next bar or bring them back. And so you can see it was a pretty quick task getting these lyrics all lined up. And the third way is to do all your actual editing in the text file first, and then when you paste it in, it will already be lined up. So in the text file, here just make sure that every line corresponds to a bar. And now when I paste it in, it lines up perfectly. And editing section text works exactly the same way. In addition to the great layers, another exciting aspect of the chord chart is that you have much more control over the look. One thing is that you can now control the number of columns that you can view. In the past, this has always been limited to 4. You can choose how large you want the layers to be compared to the main chords. In previous versions of Band in a Box, we didn't have bar lines on the main screen, but we now by default display bar lines. If you want to go back to the way it used to be, you can turn off the bar lines here. You can also choose where you want bar numbers displayed. For example, here I only have them displaying every new line. Another new feature is superscript chord extensions. This means that, for example, the M7 for minor 7 is smaller than the main part of the chord and raised. There are some options for the superscripting, so you could go back to the old display method if you wanted to. You can also change the color of pretty much any element on the chord chart. For example, I'll try out some different light colors for the chord cells. You can also change the distance between rows, columns, and sections. And there are lots of other settings here you can explore as well. You can save any set of options you like with Load or Save Scheme, or you can get back to the defaults with this button. One of the most requested new features has been the ability to import and export music XML files. We've now added this feature to Band in a Box 2016 for Mac. One of the biggest reasons Music XML support has been requested so much is that people want to be able to get their Band in a Box songs into notation programs such as Finale, Sibelius, and Guitar Pro as easily as possible, while still retaining the chords from the Band in a Box song. This is something that just wasn't possible with MIDI files. And of course, vice versa, exporting Music XML from those notation programs and being able to open them in Band in a Box. Again, with all of the notes and the chords intact. I'm going to start with importing Music XML. You can find Music XML files posted by people online, or you can get them by exporting from notation programs such as Finale, Sibelius, or Guitar Pro. I'm going to use Finale to make a Music XML file that we can then import into Band in a Box. So I'm going to enter a simple melody with some chords in Finale with 2 violin parts. I'll skip ahead in the video a little bit to the end of where I was adding notes, and more importantly, I'll also add some chords right here in Finale. I'll export it as XML, and then I can open that XML file from within Band in a Box. There are some additional options for how specifically to import. And it has the chords from Finale and all the notes I entered, which are now on the melody track. And now I'm going to try the reverse. Here I have a Brent Mason artist performance track, a great melody and solo by Brent on the melody track. Say I want to make a nice chart in Finale or Sibelius that has the notation and tab of what Brent was playing. I will save as XML. Now you can pick multiple tracks just by control-clicking the tracks you want, but I'll just go for a guitar this time, and I'll make sure we'll get notation and tab. And now I'll open it from Make Music's Finale Notepad, a free program from Make Music with some of the features of Finale. And here is Brent's melody in notation and tab, along with the chords. And it would work exactly the same way in Sibelius, Finale, or Guitar Pro. And there are lots of other features introduced in Band in a Box 2016 for Mac, such as the vocal synth. If you've added note-based lyrics to your song, like this song has, you can press the vocal synth button, with various options that then generate an actual singing part by accessing the popular online vocal synth Cincy. Clicking on the piano on the mixer now adds a note to the notation at the current time if you're in editable notation mode. The Woodshed feature is a feature that can take any band-in-a-box song and gradually increase the tempo every time any portion of it is repeated. A new mode has been added to this feature where you can set a maximum tempo. So for example, with this instrumental study, if I want to learn this 2-bar lick, I can lower the tempo from 120 to 100, and then in the woodshedding dialog, I can say I want to increase the tempo by 4 beats per minute, but I only want it to increase to a maximum of 20 beats per minute, so that I can start slow, gradually increase the tempo, and then maintain it at the tempo it was recorded at, 120 beats per minute. And if I now loop screen, it increases by 4 beats per minute each time it repeats. If I was actually learning this part, I'd likely want the increase to be more gradual, but I wanted to demonstrate it more quickly here. And now it's staying at 120. And I can now move on to the next part of the song. There are also other great new features such as improvements to the legato and staccato melody features, with new options to avoid next note by an optional number of ticks if you're increasing the length of notes, or reducing the length of notes with an option to set a minimum tick duration. And there are other improvements that make pushes sound better, and others that make the loops sound better. We hope you enjoy all the great new features and new RealTracks and other content with Band-in-a-Box 2016 for Mac. Have fun!